Hello. Good morning, everybody. I'm thrilled you're here. Well, I'm not outside today because it's an extraordinarily rainy day, which is wonderful. Looking forward to it. Everything needs it. It's been kind of hot. And I'm Rita Hickman, body expert, shiatsu massage therapist, and I help women in toxic and narcissistic relationships. So maybe you haven't seen some of the videos lately, and I totally understand. I've been doing them, but Facebook decided that I was violating their community policies. Because of that, things out a little bit. If you're looking for the ones that I did record, which were some really great topics, they're on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Ogimaquay, OGEMAQUAY, and I've got that on running around my pages too. So if you're having trouble finding it, let me know. Videos I've done for the couple weeks, which today's topic is about feeling underneath someone's thumb, feeling underneath a narcissist's thumb. So that's one of the common feelings that we have, one of the common situations that happen, is a narcissist has to be in control of every aspect of a relationship. And it's easy enough at the very beginning, to just give a narcissist what they want. It makes them happy, then they behave better, maybe they'll be sorts of things. But then again, of course, the narcissism will bubble up again in later experiences. So let's say you're at the workplace and someone comes in and they ask you to stay till 2 a.m. Maybe it's your boss. They ask you to stay late, work a double shift. And you don't want to, but you say, okay, and that makes them very happy until the next time that they need to come and control something, and you're the easiest one. You're the easiest one to keep underneath their thumb. So this is a pattern that I know I grew up with. I grew up constantly feeling that everybody around me, my time, was controlling my life, the choices that I made. Now, on the one hand, some people call that people pleasing. And, I've always kind of worried a little bit because I like pleasing people. Overall, when people, I like pleasing them on the front end. Even if they don't appreciate it or recognize it, I enjoy doing it. This is when people are consistently do things for people because we're anxious or because we feel safe or we don't feel we have any other choice. When our choice is taken away from us, that is what can cause the biggest feeling of helplessness and hopelessness and victimization, and feeling like there's nothing you can do right and it's not going to go in your direction. Now, there's a number of women that I've worked with as they've divorced or while they're divorcing a narcissist. And yeah, it can get kind of ugly because what's happening? A narcissist sees everybody in their world as a threat, someone who can hurt them, who can smear their image, who can take their friends away. They don't even know why. There's no conscious. It's just that everybody is a threat that needs to be controlled. And they let somebody, even just the smallest amount, to live with them or be married to them or be close to them, that insecurity and that fear goes up even more. So typically, if you ask, when you talk to a narcissist and about, that you're not happy that you're leaving, they're completely surprised. They don't understand because you've been spending the whole relationship or most of the relationship that you've had giving what they want. We're having there we go. So we're back. It was the only drama I could handle. I couldn't handle watching The Wizard of Oz. I couldn't handle any of that stuff because it was just way too scary for me. It was too close to an emotion. I could only watch things which were like detective shows or, problem solving or something that was more and less emotional. And of course I liked all the grisly things because I was, flirting with that. So I digress. What I'm saying is that the narcissist now sees you as a viper in the nest, as someone that they let in too close. And now you are extremely dangerous. You're an extreme, so they have to respond with as much firepower and as much, as much lack of caring and lack of empathy as they can drum up, because you have now, seriously unsettled their world, and you were close to them, as close as anyone can be. So when you start to disengage from a narcissist, the results can be difficult. And, on the one hand, you're so proud of yourself and excited that you made the change and the shift, and it was such a wonderful, powerful thing that happened, that you started to move away from being underneath their thumb. But on the other hand, anxiety of your own. In comes the worry that, what have I done? What if I can't figure this out? It's one of the reasons that many people go back to narcissistic relationships, is there's the high of making a good self-care choice, but then right after that big, that high comes that low, because now you're a little bit empty. Your well's a little bit empty. And that's just the way that it works. So not only did you stand up for yourself and make a powerful move and do something strong? But then now, one, you need to recognize that this is happening, that how you feel is natural and normal, and that you don't have to go back to a narcissistic relationship if you don't want to. And because something has changed, and what's changed is you have changed. You now have the support. The time that you're going to take to evolve and grow now is, that time is what you need. You evolving into and recognizing and healing that, and knowing that you aren't that person. So it's super important that since you made this powerful move, that you unexpect it and surround yourself with positive messages and surround yourself with positive people, which will remind you that you're not alone, that you can do this, that it's okay. So how do you get out of the feeling of being underneath someone's thumb? How do you do that? Let me give you a story. When people perform, I'm a musician and an actor. I did all that stuff ever since I was a kid. And when you perform and your energy is pulling in, and your energy is anxiety and nervousness, and that the crowd is painful and stuff's coming at you, that's how it can feel, as if you're helpless when a narcissist is coming after you, and you sort of shrink in and protect yourself and go back to when you were a child or whatever you need to do. So how do you switch that? How do you go from feeling beneath somebody's thumb, feeling controlled, by energy in the room, to standing up for yourself? It's the shift of focus. When you're focusing on pulling in and protecting, you're going to feel helpless. But when you decide for yourself what you're going to do, irregardless of how the narcissist responds, irregardless of what they do, and it's not going to be fair, and it's going to be dramatic, and it's going to be, they're going to have these temper tantrums, and they're going to change the locks, and they're going to, react as if their world is ending in some way, for the top, for the situation. They're coming and they feel helpless. So they're gonna start punching out to take back their sense of control. And here's a lesson you can learn from a narcissist: is when you make decisions based on your own terms, irregardless of how the other person, they're going to respond, feel like you're back in control of your life. And that's a lesson that narcissists can teach us, which is when you reach out and make a move that that says, this is what I'm voice. This is my choosing to live my life and to lead it in such a way. It gives you that sense of empowerment again. When you're taking back, when you're going from reacting and feeling helpless to the energy everybody's you, instead, when on stage, it's switched to how can I serve, or how can I make this mine? How is this my performance? How is this the way that I want it to go and to be, irregardless of whether the audience likes it or not? They can hate it, and it doesn't matter, because it's not based on whether they like it or not. It's based on whether I've made the decision, right or wrong, good or bad, up or down, that this is what I'm guys. When you're dealing with someone with health issues, you're dealing with someone who's irrational, you're dealing with someone who's trying to gain some semblance of control over their life, and you seriously pull the rug out underneath them, whether they show it or not. And they're in a reactionary, almost like a raw nerve that's going to come out fighting and do everything that they can to feel powerful again. Now, if you place of consciousness, not from a fear, when you say, you know what, I need my stuff, they're probably going to change the law. So how am I going to get my stuff? Well, I'll have the police come and escort me and let me into my house, which I own, to get my property. Or I'll know family and friends, because they're less likely to. So you take back your power. You, instead of reacting to outside of me, instead, regardless of how a narcissist or anybody else responds, it's you take ownership for what you want to do. And when you make that shift, when you say, you know what, this is what I'm going to do today, and this is why, you stop feeling so helpless. You stop feeling like you're underneath somebody's thumb, because now your choices are being chosen. They aren't being dictated to you. You're looking at a situation and saying, how do I want to handle this? How do I want to move forward? And it really doesn't matter, you know, whether you go back, whether you leave, whether you take all your stuff, whether you leave all your stuff behind. It doesn't matter, because it's not about the stuff. It's about you taking back your power to live the life how you want to live it. I've given up plenty of things because I no longer chose to put myself in the middle of that, in the middle of someone else's drama. Instead, I chose to get help and support and look for ways to get what I want and need, irregardless of how the narcissist responds. When you do that, you no longer feel victimized. You're no longer cringing in, trying to protect yourself from whatever this narcissist means to you or whatever they're triggering in you. You're no longer shrinking away. You're changing the memory. Here's a cool fact. You don't remember an exact memory. Instead, you remember the lessons I want you to do today. I want you to write down the negative thoughts that come up. Whatever it may be, write down some of your thoughts. And then pick one that isn't too triggery. You know, don't pick the biggest one. Oh my gosh, because then it'll be too big. It'll be too much. Pick something small. Pick something that doesn't have as much of a big trigger, because you're getting good at this. You're practicing it. You're putting training wheels on your bike. Overwhelming. And what I want you to do is look for or think of a memory where you felt that way. Remember a time before when you felt that way. It could be when you were a child, it could be when you were an adult, it doesn't matter. Now, go into that memory and change it. Go into that feeling of, the sight and the smell and where people were standing and where the light was and how you were feeling. How you were feeling is the most important. It's like we've up a little bit. Feeling when that memory was happening. And when you do that, now I want you to change the memory. I want you to change something about the memory. Change how you reacted. Change how you responded. For me, it was taking a baseball bat and beating up the room I was in because of what it represented. And then going outside and torching the place because of what it represented to me. So I want you to take that and change it. I want you to change the memory that you have into something that has a different ending. Something that where you stood up for yourself and it turned out okay. Or after the fact, the next day or the next hour after that trauma happened or that experience happened, where someone was with you to help you process it through. Bad experiences aren't necessarily bad if we take the time. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't have to be while you're in the experience. It can be directly after the experience when you really felt what was going on, when you felt the hurt, when you felt the devastation. Maybe it was, home that night when it really landed, what had happened. You don't have to go back to the original event. You can go back to the event right after the event. And when you do that, as I said, change it. Have someone else come in and sit with you and listen to what you have to say in your imagination. Have things which are comforting. Have time to be upset or to cry and have it be okay and have it be supported. Looks like we froze up. Things needed that you wanted that would have helped you through the process, do that. And if you do that, it will help clear the energy and it will help you feel back in control. And it will help you feel not like you're shrinking, but that you made a choice. The body doesn't know the difference between something you do in your imagination and something that you actually do out in the real world. So you can go back to your memories and they can be handled differently. Maybe you were bullied and then you had someone that sat with you and loved and supported you while you expressed how you felt. That could be your memory. Or maybe there was drama in your home when you were a child, and maybe some sort of domestic or verbal or emotional or sexual abuse happened. And it was constant and chronic. You can go back to after the memory to when you were feeling the worst and have other people come in, people who love you or generations of people or random strangers who are just kind. You can have these things happen to help you process through, because it's not the memory that's giving you the problem. It's that you didn't get what you needed to process through the memory. So if you're feeling helpless and underneath somebody's thumb, first of all, I want you to recognize if you're cringing back or if you're saying, you know what, this is how they are. They have a mental illness and this is how I'm going to handle it. That will help you feel better. And then the next thing that will help you feel better is if you take some of those helpless thoughts and you look back a little bit. As I said, don't take the big ones. Take something small. You need to practice and get good at this. Take one of the small ones, go back to the scenario in your mind and have it turn out differently. Get the support that you needed. Get the love that you needed. Get the information that you needed. Maybe it's you supporting you. Maybe it's that you were finally safe. Maybe it's that you fought back. Maybe it's that you went to the police. Whatever it could be, you get to change the memory. Because it's the memory that's protected that's causing the reaction, which is making you feel helpless. And when you go back to the memory and you let yourself release some of that energy around it in a loving, kind, compassionate way, you're not going to feel so helpless. You're going to feel more empowered. I absolutely guarantee it. If you need a little bit more help, we've got the Narcissist book I've been partnering with. We've got the private group coaching that I do, or I also do coaching one-on-one. And you can message me and we'll come up with a strategic plan that fits your budget, that fits your time, to get you moving forward, to get you where you want to go. And we'll get you there. It's not impossible. You're just in a hard place right now, okay? So I hope you have a great rest of your day. I hope this video wasn't too choppy because of the weather, and I'm looking